Welcome to Push Your Glasses Up. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Rena, and hi.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Yes.
Crushing it today. Absolutely crushing it.
So many episodes on different days. We're back to talk about Mortal Kombat. What did you think about this movie, Mortal Kombat? The movie,
Okay.
2021.
Preference. I have not seen any other Mortal Kombat movies. This is the only Mortal Kombat movie I've ever seen.
Matter.
It doesn't.
It really
Okay,
doesn't
according to my roommate Jonathan, he was surprised that I had not seen the others. However,
it's surprising that you haven't seen the 1995 movie, but it doesn't matter in the context for this movie. I should say that. Yeah.
But I watched it on Sunday afternoon with my roommate, and I enjoyed it. You know my if you've heard this podcast over the years, you know my classification about movies as to when to watch them on the weekend. Sunday afternoon, perfect Sunday afternoon movie.
You were watching this movie as if it was on cable, and you just changed the channel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was exactly where it needed to be. I was planning a whole Saturday night around it, but like I got my COVID second shot and I was tired, so I didn't end up watching it. But you know what? It all worked out.
So
and I enjoyed it.
I was really let down by this movie. A lot.
I know you were.
This is a movie that I was really stoked about because it looked like they were like, by the trailers, getting a lot of the stuff that I wanted from it. But then when it got to watching the actual movie, it's a nearly 2 hour long first act of a movie. And
it's about a tournament that never happens.
Yep, they never get to the fireworks factory, and that is very annoying to me. The other thing
maybe I don't hate it because this is like me playing video games and I never get very far if they like take too long.
So that's another thing that I've seen on the discourse about this movie is like people saying like, well, what do you expect? Mortal Kombat's supposed to be dumb, as if dumb and good can't be there at the same time. And it's, yes, there are ridiculous things about Mortal Kombat, but the story itself in the games, especially over the last like 10 years, has been handled really carefully by NetherRealm. And it's actually it's one of the best stories in video games, not just like fighting games or Mortal Kombat. It's one of the best stories in a video game of the last few years. It's like particularly for MK11. It's wild. And it doesn't make sense that that's true, but it is true. So when it came to this movie, I was hoping that there was going to be a little more care taken with the actual like character and stuff like that. Not even just that though. Like the fight scenes in this came off as boring because of the editing. Like a lot of the impact of the fighting was taken away just because they cut to like wide shots when they should be going to close shots and you actually like see the impact of something. There's parts where like characters say like, why would Liu Kang say fatality? Nobody literally says fatality in Mortal Kombat. Like it's a voiceover. So it's weird when a character says fatality for Kung Lao when like it's just annoying that it doesn't seem like it's giving a shit about the thing it's making a movie from. And that's where it all fell apart for me. Because I loved the first 10 minutes of this movie. The Scorpion stuff at the beginning was actually fantastic. I really loved that. And then they just go through the motions and stay in one room basically for the next 80 minutes. And it
like, who doesn't love a good blood feud, first of all?
Yeah, and it's like that's the stuff that I was really excited that they were going to get into was actually that lore. But then it just didn't happen. Like, it was all surface level stuff. And I get that some people think that that's what Mortal Kombat is. But it's really not. There is a deeper story, a more complex story. A more convoluted story for sure, but a more complex story that's bigger than just that surface level stuff. And It's just a bummer. I was really I was more excited about this movie than I was for Godzilla versus Kong, and so yeah.
For some reason, I have like less of a problem with plot holes in this movie than I do with Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know why, but I don't know. I mean, one, I've never played. I don't know any of the mythos, so that's probably
Right.
why I enjoyed it so much. I mean, like, real talk. I'm more of a Street Fighter fan. Like, that's
Well,
how
the
I roll.
irony about that is that a lot of the lore that this movie is taking from, yes, is taking from the games, but the games actually got that lore, a lot of it, from the first movie from 95. So, like, it's a weird full circle thing. And it's just, like, for the most part, it was just boring. And they're just in an extended 80-minute training sequence that just keeps getting interrupted by a phone call, basically. Like, it's Shang Tsung just showing up and being like, "Oh, sorry to bother you again, but here we are." And it's like, no, there's like nothing intimidating about that character anymore, because you just make him the annoying neighbor. And it's like,
Why didn't Raiden put like a no solicitor sign on the door?
yeah, that at least, like, man, it's
I don't know. Okay, let's start with let's go into the characters, because so we have a lot of familiar characters, and then we also have a brand new one in Cole, played by Louis Tan, who is my most famous Twitter follower. So I try not to say anything bad, but I
we
really
will not say anything bad about him.
Because I
Don't worry.
adore him, and he's like, he works very, very hard, and
He's a very nice person, and we would never say anything bad about him. I
was
am
proud of
fine
him
with
for
his
having.
character in this movie.
I thought he did a great job for like his first like big leading role. I liked that they gave him like a family. I liked that his daughter wasn't like a little tiny person. I liked, it was like it wasn't over the top, like, oh my god, I have to save, like, I don't know. I just felt like that was played really well.
Like, I'm totally fine with them doing a new character. That didn't bother me at all. And I like, in general, what they were going for with it. But I would have preferred if they actually just had Cole become Scorpion. Instead of becoming, I don't know, I'm just going to call him Armor. Like, he doesn't have the code name or whatever. So it's like, to me, it seemed like they were setting up that he would inherit the spirit of Scorpion through the story, as opposed to like suddenly having a foam suit that he was wearing. That I will say, did not like how that looked. That looked like a rubber suit to me.
And also, it just makes me sad that you would cover up that body. Anyway, it's my own personal opinion, but
It's a good body.
It is like, why are you covering it? That's a terrible idea. But at the same time, like when the OG Scorpion rises up from hell, that could have been a moment to pass it down.
Right. When Cole's Arcana unlocks against Goro, I think that's when you actually have it come to the surface. And then in the final fight against Sub-Zero, you have this is where I think like the cheesiness can work that it didn't in this movie, is you could have had Cole speaking, or Scorpion speaking through Cole about like who he actually is and like why this is happening to Sub-Zero. Like, you could have just had that moment. It could have been super cheesy to have that exposition, but I think it could have worked in the context of what was happening, as opposed to like just saying a thing from the game with no contextual heart behind it. Like, empty Easter eggs mean jack shit to me. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the fatalities are cool, but like, I really don't care if when Cole's daughter says use the uppercut from off screen, like that played so poorly to me, like so half-assed, that like that's the kind of stuff that frustrates me about this movie is there's a lot of good potential here. It was just kind of squandered, and it just bums me out. And it's, you know, I hope they do a second one. I hope they do a better job with it.
Oh, I hope so. They had all those fans. We know Katana's on her way. Let's talk about, speaking of characters, let's talk about the familiar characters and what did you think of them in this context?
For the most part, the Sub-Zero and Scorpion stuff is the only stuff I really liked. I was fine with the portrayal of Liu Kang. Like the actual actor playing him, I liked what he was doing. I think that they did some dumb things with him, but I like what the actor was doing.
An incredibly talented martial arts cast.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's just, you know, it's a shell of what this movie could be, especially with how talented that cast is. Like, I like that they were trying to go in a Sarah Connor direction with Sonya. I thought that was a cool idea. I just don't think that they fully got there.
I think she was grossly underused, to be totally honest.
I think they could have gone further with her, and I also think her dialogue at times was underwritten in a way that like hurt the character a fair amount. Like the things that she was saying at times made her sound like an idiot, and that also bummed me out because she's one of the most capable characters in the entire universe of Mortal Kombat lore. So it's, you know, it's a bummer. I will say,
what do you think of Kano?
I mean, the portrayal of Kano is fairly accurate. That's totally fine. The unfortunate thing is that's not the character that you should like the most in this movie.
I mean, I liked him to a point, and then he started to annoy me, and then I realized he was probably going to die, and that made me happy. Like, he ran his course. Like, initially he was funny, and then Jonathan was...
let me put it this way. The most charismatic person in the movie shouldn't be saying, like, casually racist and misogynistic shit all the time. Like, everything out of his voice. They should make sure that they have a more charismatic person who's just a nice person, like to counter it a little bit. But yeah, the actor did a great job performing as Kano. There's no denying that. It's just, you know, circumstances of the movie.
Well, Jonathan said in the original movie that Kano was like wicked pervy. That's my roommate, Jonathan. And so he was glad
pervy. So
he was glad that they didn't do that in this iteration.
Yeah, they didn't go that route with them. They kept that idea, but they didn't go like full on in that direction. There's a little bit for sure, but like not a ton. But
how did you feel about the other side of the house with like Goro?
Goro, I think, looks good. Like that, there's going to be a lot of people who, because of their devotion to the 95 movie and that because it was a prosthetic suit that somebody was wearing on top of their shoulders to just extend an extra torso up. There's a lot of people devoted to that. That's fine.
I mean, as someone who plays Machamp in Pokemon Go, I mean, that was a good one for me.
Yeah, it doesn't look good in the 95 movie. They did their best. It was a small budget movie. It's fine for what it is. But like this looks so much better. This looks way better. Granted, there's not much character to him. There wasn't in the 95 movie either. But like it didn't really matter. It's just supposed to be an intimidating character in this, so that's fine. Yeah, Goro was fine. Jax was good. Like for the most part, I think the actors did the best they could with these characters to highlight who these characters were. But the writing of the characters just on certain characters just didn't quite make it to where I was hoping it would be. But.
You know, another thing too, when you were talking about like the cinematography, I feel like usually we complain about too much of this, but there was not enough of like, I feel like slowed down shots to really highlight some key moments. Like,
so that's what's funny. In the games, there are like, in Mortal Kombat 11, it's called Fatal Blows. And it's like, it's an impact where it slows down and you see like, it doesn't have to get necessarily this graphic, but it slows down and you like feel the impact and it puts a huge amount of sound design on it. And it causes you to like feel those moments. And they did kind of just like speed through the glory kill stuff, and like it takes away from it.
Or when Melina opens her mouth fully, like that moment they only kind of did it with Goro like flying in with like a punch.
Which is like that's not the moment to use it. No. Like that should be a fast moment, but
yeah. So I mean, I do want a second one though. I will say, like they've set it all up.
I would like some more so that they can make so they can actually make a Mortal Kombat movie, because this wasn't it. Like it literally had no Mortal Kombat in it. The name of the tournament. Yeah.
But yeah, if they then they have more opportunity for a character. I don't know. I want to see a second one. Like this movie did really well in the box office. And
all things considered, yeah.
All things considered, box office numbers were solid, and so we're on demand.
It's also the largest HBO Max release yet.
So I'm hoping that would give them the option of a second film. Listen, they've made how many Resident Evils? You could make a second Mortal Kombat movie.
There have been 6 live action movies, 5 CG movies, 5 including the upcoming one. There is a reboot live action one coming out either later this year. It's undated. It might be later this year. It might be next year. The cast in that looks phenomenal though. So I'm stoked for that. But
yeah, I want to see more. Like that was okay, but like now give me the rest of it.
Yeah.
It was like just a glorified appetizer.
Let Mortal Kombat begin, damn it.
Right?
Yeah. So I
think that Goro and Sub-Zero are coming back for the second one. I think that was very intentional. Like,
Sub-Zero comes back as a different character.
We're just gonna take these, just gonna put them in our pocket over here.
Well, Sub-Zero, the lore, spoilers for Mortal Kombat, for the deep lore of Mortal Kombat. The original Sub-Zero dies, comes back as Noob Saibot, which is like an all black version of the costume, or whatever. It was a palette swap that they made into a different character. And Sub-Zero's brother comes in as the new Sub-Zero. And he's a good guy. So I would assume that they would stick with that lore, because they clearly teased him like taking off the blue armor and he's only in the black Under Armour stuff. So it's, I think they're clearly teasing that.
And they clearly were like, oh no, we're going to just take them over here. Oh, we're just taking them back. Like,
yeah.
Everyone else fuck off. But like these two,
yeah,
just going to tuck them away.
And like, it's funny because there's some of the convoluted stuff that I would never even ask for. Is like, it gets to a point when there's in the games, there's like zombie versions of Liu Kang. Like there's a ton of like bonkers stuff that I would never actually ask for. But it doesn't seem like they could even begin to get into that stuff at this point.
I don't know. They had like that succubus chick. That was a little
but there. That's just like a fantasy monster that you could kind of like it's a character from Mortal Kombat, but like
but I had to look her up. I didn't know that one. That one's further down the line.
A little later in the series, yeah. But yeah, it's just a character with wings on it seems easier to explain than like the alternate universe timeline stuff that the new games have had. So I'm not looking for the most bonkers of bonkers stuff. I think that this movie, when it is at its best, is actually the grounded and taking itself seriously stuff as opposed to the cheesy stuff. So that's where it's frustrating as a fan of things because they don't get that stuff right. But it's more frustrating as somebody that just wants a good movie that they didn't see that the best stuff they had, they ran away from, and it's only the bookends of the movie. So I just wish there was more of that. Because, like, you can do cheesy lines. They just have to make sense in the story. You can do, like, I'm happy that it's, like, glory kill stuff. Like, Kung Lao's hat fatality was awesome. But, like, without a good story around it, it means nothing to me. And that's it's just annoying. Yeah.
But again, there are people like me who don't know anything about Mortal Kombat in terms of the mythos, who are just like, Sunday afternoon movie. Let me put my blankie on. I got my warm socks, and now I'm just gonna watch.
I'm super pumped that people were able to take that away. If that's what people took away from it,
no one's spine were ripped. I was waiting for someone's spine to be ripped out, and I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah. It's just one of the, it's just, I was going into, like, when people say, what do you expect from a Mortal Kombat movie? I expected a good movie. And
it did have a really good trailer. I think that's part of it.
That's the thing. The trailer, it was great. Granted, like, in the trailer, some of the fight stuff looked a little slow. Like, but that goes back to the editing of this movie. Is like, they didn't know where to cut. They didn't know where to go to wide shots and close-up shots. They didn't. It's just, I'm happy that a lot of people are getting what they want out of it. It's just not what I got out of it. And I hope for more, and I hope for better on the next one.
Listen, the second movie is usually my favorite. So, like, I like Two Towers, favorite. Dark Knight, favorite. Winter Soldier,
Kombat movies, you
favorite.
Will not feel that way. The 95 Mortal Kombat movie is bad but fun. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is just bad. It's just bad. There's, like, not even enjoyable stuff in it. So
maybe we should start reviewing actually bad movies. We need to.
Not into it. Not into it. I'm into the idea of going back to review old, or not old necessarily, but older movies, for the sake of, like, it's a thing we can cover. That's fine. But we've had this discussion fairly recently, I think, where I'm at the point where I feel like I'm past the Mystery Science Theater 3000 part of my life, where I'm just like, I just feel bad if I'm watching something just to make fun of it. I'm not into that anymore. I always want to hope for good in something. And I don't have the heart.
Even Mortal Kombat.
I will always hope. That's the thing. I will always hope a Mortal Kombat thing will be great, because there is a track record of great Mortal Kombat stuff. So, yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't seen any of the Mortal Kombat movies, and I haven't seen any of the Street Fighter movies either.
So, yeah, there's 2 live action ones of those.
But those have Raul Julia in them, so that is our...
The one from the 90s does. The one from the late 2000s is Kristen Crook as Chun-Li. And why can't I think of his name? It's Dum Dum Dugan.
I didn't know Bison. That there was another one. I was literally just thinking of the 90s ones. Like, I can picture them in my head.
The 90s one is a bad movie, but I have nostalgia that I enjoy that movie for. And Raul Julia just chews the scenery the whole time because he was like, this is basically my last movie and I'm making it for my kids, so I'm gonna go all out. And I love that. I love the mentality that he had on that movie, because he goes for like Rocky and Bullwinkle style villain in that movie, and I love it. Doesn't mean it's good. I recognize that it's also not good.
Okay, if I'm going to do double feature, should I do original Mortal Kombat and original Street Fighter, or should I do Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Nope. You had it right the first time.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that's my plan.
I would start with Street Fighter and go to Mortal Kombat second.
All right. Well, I have my assignment.
Mortal Kombat, I think, is a slightly better movie, so I think you'll enjoy that one a little more. As far as it's still not a good movie necessarily, but like I think there's a little more quality in the movie, as opposed to with Street Fighter. You're just gonna be like, why is Van Damme playing the most American person in this movie? I don't understand. But
I forgot Jean-Claude Van Damme's in that movie.
And like you could get annoyed with Street Fighter just because it is like they get a lot of stuff wrong with the characters in that movie.
But like, again, I don't care about like
Honda,
any of that.
For some reason, Hawaiian instead of Japanese. Okay. Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah, I would say go Street Fighter then Mortal Kombat 95.
Does that mean that like Detective
and then Super Mario Brothers? Because
I was gonna say, does that mean that Detective Pikachu is like the only like truly successful video game movie that we didn't hate?
You mean successful like good?
Yeah, like good in terms of storytelling.
It's one of the few. Sonic is actually very good. Sonic is a very good movie, and I think it's a better movie than Detective Pikachu. Yeah.
How could you say such a thing?
I say that disassociating the IP, I think it's just a slightly better movie. I think they're pretty equal, but I think it's a slightly better movie because my expectations were lower for Sonic than they were for Detective Pikachu.
I'm just disappointed that we're already getting a second Sonic movie before we get another Detective Pikachu movie.
Listen, Detective Pikachu 2, the game, was announced 6 years ago. They haven't said anything since. So I don't know what's happening with that. There's a lot with the Detective Pikachu stuff that is just very, very weird.
We're ending on the video games that I play. And you know what? There's never been a Katamari movie. Could they make one of those?
I do not think that they could make that.
Yeah, that would be amazing and just a complete mindfuck. I don't even know how that would work, but
I think you could make an anime. I don't think you could make a movie.
You totally could make an anime.
Because you can do the melodrama of the prince trying to impress his father. You could do that. But I don't think you could do that in a movie properly. I don't think that would work. Unless it's like an anime movie too, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We've covered all my video. I've now spent on video game knowledge. I'm tapped out. That's all I got.
Yeah. I will, like, to counter the fact that I've been so negative on this, I will say that, like, this is still technically the best Mortal Kombat movie. Out of all three of them, not counting animated stuff, there's a very good Mortal Kombat movie called Scorpion's Revenge that is animated by the same animation teams that do like the DC animated movies, and that's actually very good. That would probably be the best Mortal Kombat movie if I was including that. But like out of the live action ones, this is technically the best movie because the other two are both like genuinely they're not good. And you can see where like the seams in the budget are like really strong, and this one masks a lot of that. It's some of the stuff with the way this movie came out that I personally didn't love, but it's a better movie than the other two.
I mean, Jonathan did say, like, as seeing the first one and then seeing this one, that it seems like they tried to do something different, so they just weren't redoing the 1995 movie.
Well, the irony is a lot of it is almost identical. Like, not like they actually do the tournament to an extent in that movie, but like the Shang Tsung stuff is like literally exactly the same. And they just introduced different characters because now they have a larger swath of characters to pick from than the first movie. They're not just doing Johnny Cage and Sonya and Liu Kang as like the three. So yeah, I do like the tease of Johnny Cage at the end. I like that. I'm excited for the idea of what that could be, but like, I still hope it's a better movie than what this came out to be.
Who would you cast for Johnny Cage? Like if you had to pick somebody.
If we're going with somebody that fits the bill, The Miz from the WWE.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
But I think there are better people that could portray Johnny Cage within this universe than that. I think he fits the silhouette perfectly for what the idea of Johnny Cage is, but I think that there's probably better actors out there. What was his name? There was somebody I saw recently. What was it? Talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, I'm thinking. I saw somebody say Ryan Reynolds.
Yoshi Sudarso, who was in the Power Rangers, and yeah.
Yes. I saw that on Twitter.
That's where I saw it. I just couldn't remember his name.
Yep. That would be cool.
Yeah. The Ryan Reynolds thing, I think, is also a little like
played out at this point.
It's on point, but like too on point. Like it's just gonna be Deadpool again. Like whatever.
I mean, or they could add
character
Deadpool.
Is based on the original character is based on Van Damme. That's sort of the irony of him being Guile in Street Fighter is the switch. But yeah, it's I don't know. I would be fine with a lot of different people. I think if you want to go for the more like cartoonish version of him, go with The Miz. But I think Yoshi's a tremendous choice if you want to like give a little bit of seriousness to it. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're ending on a positive note.
Yeah, I did my best to do that.
Crushing it.
So yeah, I think we're gonna be doing some other episodes soon that are gonna switch things up a little bit. I'm gonna do an episode where I host with a friend of mine, and you're gonna do an episode where you host with a friend of yours. So we're gonna change things up over the next couple weeks, maybe weeks. But yeah, I think that'll be a cool little change up. But other than that, I think it's time to say
it's dinner time.
Finish him. I was saying finish him as a Mortal Kombat thing, but sure, dinner time.
I didn't know where you were going with this. I was.
Well, you stopped. You cut me off. You finished each other's sandwiches. Is what it was.
We do finish each other's sandwiches.
Bye.
Bye.